Welcome to this special Italian wine podcast broadcast. This episode is a recording off Clubhouse, the popular drop-in audio chat. This Clubhouse session was taken from the Wine Business Club and Italian Wine Club. Listen in as wine lovers and experts alike engage in some great conversation on a range of topics in wine. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. And remember to subscribe and rate our show wherever you tune in. This episode is proudly sponsored by Vivino, the world's largest online wine marketplace. The Vivino app makes it easy to choose wine. Enjoy expert team support, door-to-door delivery, and honest wine reviews to help you choose the perfect wine for every occasion. Vivino. Download the app on Apple or Android and discover an easier way to choose wine.
Hello, everybody. My name's Stevie Kim, and this is the Italian Wine Club on the Clubhouse. Today's call is, wow, can't believe this, but our 11th installment of the Ambassador's Corner. For the benefit of the newbies out there, Ambassador's Corner is where Italian wine ambassadors like Alberto and the Mod Squad, also known as others, from the Italian wine ambassadors community, get a chance to nominate and interview their favorite Italian wine producers on Clubhouse. And if anyone would like to nominate and interview your personal favorite Italian wine producer, please get in touch with us. This room is indeed, as you know, will be recorded and may be replayed on the Italian Wine Podcast. Sometimes there are some technical issues, as you'll find out, but I bought my Roadcaster today. We've been doing the marathon, so we've been going to bed really, really late this week, midnight the past 3 days, but so I'm doing this from home today. So the quality of the recording should be decent, as I love to share today's call with many listeners as possible. Also, there are different time zones. It becomes a little bit problematic. So as usual, I've got a small ask. You know that what we do here at the Italian Wine Podcast and Italian Wine Club at the Clubhouse is absolutely a labor of love from me, Joy, Laika, and the entire gang, including the Italian Wine Ambassadors. So if you give a thumbs up to the Italian Wine Podcast and rate us, our podcast, wherever you get your pods, we'd really appreciate that. And if you'd like to make a small donation, we would really appreciate that as well. I'd like to now introduce the host ambassador, Alberto Martinez Interiano, today, who will be interviewing Christoph Künzli. I hope I didn't butcher that name today. So let me just give you just a small information about Alberto Martinez Interiano. Ciao, Alberto.
Ciao, Stevie. How are you? Hi, everybody. Hi.
You're not Italian, right?
No. I'm actually Latin American, Salvadoran.
Okay, then. So Alberto is a wine educator and writer based in Seattle. That's Seattle, Washington. We just had our VIA Agile edition there with Haley Black from the Vinitaly International Academy. She's our Italian wine expert, and she was a local tasting center at Seattle. And we just finished last night. We wrapped it up. Do you know Haley?
I do. So actually, Haley and I were classmates. We made the trek to Vancouver.
Oh, great!
Once every month. So yeah, we know each other very well.
It's such a small world. So Alberto currently works as an instructor at the Cellar Muse Wine School in Seattle with, of course, Tanya Morningstar Darling. That's her real name. And the Wine and Spirits Archive in Portland, Oregon, where he teaches WSET and Italian and Spanish wine certification courses. He also has a blog. It's vinointeriano.com. He also blogs for Vintner Project and many others. So his passions for Italian wine started when he lived in Tuscany as a student. When was that? How many years ago? Whereabouts in Tuscany?
It's been a while. So I lived in a small town called Prato, which is outside of Florence. and then a little bit in Chianti, which is now basically a suburb about 35 minutes west of the city.
Yeah, Prato's actually not so small. That's where all the factories of the fashion industries.
Yeah, all the fabrics. Yeah.
There's a huge Chinese community. They make Chanel and Celine bags. I know that because they also distribute Sassikai in China. Anyways, that's another story for another room, I suppose. And I guess that's where he fell in love with Italian wine, Italian food, Italian culture. He's also a diploma holder. He's a WSET diploma. And the most important thing about Alberto is that he has become a certified Italian wine ambassador, the flagship class of 2021. Congratulations, Alberto. You're now one of us.
Yeah, thanks, Stevie.
And not only that, he was actually the top of the graduating class. So he's definitely one of the kind of the sharper ones from the pack. Let's just say that. So Alberto, as you know, we start with learning objectives from your favorite producer, but tell us why you chose Christoph Künzli, and correct my pronunciation. How do you say that?
Künzli.
Künzli. Okay,
Künzli.
Totally messed that up. Okay, and why did you choose Christoph?
Yeah, so I actually met Christoph briefly a couple of years ago. He was visiting Seattle in a tasting. And so I'm a super fan of Nebbiolo and all Nebbiolo-related wines. And that was the first time that I actually got to try, his beautiful, elegant expressions, or more, alpine Nebbiolos from Alto Piemonte. And through that, I also learned about this just fascinating story. He sort of he pioneered the rescue of a region that historically was super important a few years ago, and basically brought it back from a place that was kind of nearly forgotten in the last 25 years. So both love the wines and love the story behind it.
Fantastic. So we're really looking forward to that. And now it's time for the learning objectives.
Yeah, so I think that the main objectives for today would be, one, just learn a little bit more about Nebbiolo, and specifically how the style in is Alto Piemonte and in the Boca DOC. Also how it relates in terms of how it compares similarities and differences versus kind of what most people know about, which is the Nebbiolo from further south, from the Langhe. Also, we get a closer look at Vespolina, which is a traditional grape variety from the area, and its role in the blends, in the sort of Alto Piemonte and Boca blends. Also, another objective is learning about Maggiorina, which is a traditional training system that is unique to the region. And finally, we just learn and get the inside scoop from Christoph on this rescue work to bring back a lot of the historical vineyards from the area. So,
fantastic. That seems pretty ambitious. So I'm going to hand it over to you, and I'm going to shut up now. This is my favorite part, where I can just drink and listen to you guys. And I'll come back when you're ready to take some questions from the audience.
Perfect.
Take it away, Alberto.
Great. Christoph Künzli is the owner of Le Piane Winery, which is the leading producer in the Boca DOC, in the area of northern, Alto Piemonte. Christoph is originally from Switzerland, and he worked initially as an importer of Italian wine. And in one of his travels, he fell in love with the region, and so much so that later on he decided to relocate there, purchase land, and has been making wine in the area since 1998. So, hello, Christoph, and thanks for joining us, and welcome to the Ambassador's Corner.
Hello, Alberto, and all the group. It's nice to be with you and tell you something about Boca. It's great.
Great. No, so we imagine that we're in the middle or just about to start harvest. So really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today.
Yeah, it's not a problem, because we are a bit old-fashioned in Boca. Means we are not so hit by the climate warming. means that we make normal harvest in October and never in September. So I'm not yet in the harvest. Yeah, we normally we do the Bocca after the 15th of October, and this year it will be like this, the same. So it's a bit strange because the climate change has a lot of impacts, but in our region it seems even maybe positive, which I don't dare to tell, but it's true.
Good. And great. So, and for those of us who are not that familiar with Bocca, would you mind just telling us a little bit in terms of where it is in relation to the overall Piemonte in Italy?
Yeah, we are located on the northern Piedmont, which is in the Alps. It's the Alpine region of northern Piedmont. It's north from Milan, north from Novara, north from Turin in a way. And Bocca is in this optic the highest and the most northern and also the most eastern region in this northern Piedmont. So the highest, that means that our vineyards are on 450 to 550 meters. I don't know it now in feet. It's also a bit difficult to translate. But in 550 meters, which means we are somehow 100 meters higher than all other Nebbiolo regions like Barolo, like Catinara, like Lessona. We are really the highest peak for Nebbiolo in Piemonte. And I spent now 23 years to build up this Lepiani winery. And of course, it's a big challenge, but of course, I would say it's a big luck, not this luck, of course. I was importing wines to Switzerland for some years and focused on Italian wines. And I was always not so focused only on the famous regions like Brunello, Chianti or Barolo. I was always attracted also to go a little bit the side way in Italy because there was a lot to discover. And maybe 40 years, 30 years ago, it was not so known. Now you find in Italy a lot of unknown regions which are developing well, and it's incredible how a lot of new varietals which we never knew, old varietals but new in the market, and so I went always a bit on the sideways, and one day, a producer, which is very known, by the way, my friend Paolo De Marchi from Isola Lena. One day he told me, I know this region, up in the north, because I come from there, from Lessona. And I was lastly in Bocca, and there was a wine fair, which was absolutely terrible, because there was no drinkable wine anymore. There was some old people exposing wine, which were more vinegar than wine. But there was one producer, his name Antonio Cerri, who makes amazing wines. You would like them, he told me, because he knew my taste. And I thought, oh, this is a good idea. I go there. And I went there, and I fell in love in the first moment with these wines. They are really amazing, incredible wines. And I speak about wines of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. It was the time when Bocca was dying and there was no serious winemaking anymore. And this Antonio Cerri, just a lonely farmer in this Bocca, he made incredible wines out of big selection, out of a big love for wine. And he knew exactly that he did high-level wines. Even he had no market. In a way, he maybe not even to Milan he sold his wines, but he knew that he made good wines. He was a very high level.
Oh yeah, that's an amazing story. Yeah, and from what I understand, about 100 years ago, the whole area was known, right? It was large and just as important, as probably if more so than Barolo and so the Langhe.
It was forest everywhere. There was small vineyards a little bit in this forest, but there was really nothing. We speak about 10 hectares when I arrived. 10 hectares is what we have now, Lepiane alone as an estate. But out from in the 50s, there were, I think, 1,000 hectares of land only in Bocca. So totally collapsed. That's what happened. And I like these wines, and so I decided to do a bit of crazy thing, to buy land in the forest, to deforest, to cut the trees, and to put new vineyards on this land. And now we have 8 hectares new plantations, and we took over also 2 hectares of old stuff which was still there, but we speak after about that. That's very important.
Great. So could you tell us in terms of kind of Boca, so it's a little, from northern latitude, how is it in terms of climate, and what are the soils like?
Yeah, we have a very special climate and a very good climate, because we have behind us, behind our vineyards, there is a hillside which goes to 800 meters, and it makes like how to say, it covers us to the north. And then after, behind this hillside, there are the highest peaks of the Alps with the Monte Rosa Massif, which goes nearly to 5,000 meters. And this blocks really the cold weather, or sometimes also in the last years, the warm weather of the north. It protects us from these cold or hot winds from the north. And that makes that it's really protected. But when we look to the south, and all our vineyards are south-facing, we see the Po Valley, the flat land under us. It's open to the Po Valley. And we see on nice days even the Apennine behind that, which goes to the Alessandria region and Langhe region in this area. We see this hillside of the Apennine, and after this would be the seaside. So we are very open to the south, and that makes that the sun is really, the light and the sun is very intense in Boca. So that's why we can go very high with Nebbiolo, and even if we go high, the Nebbiolo can ripe well. And that's the amazing thing. So I think it's really unusual and a very particular situation.
Great. And I also believe that you guys there have a special type of soils, right? It's not limestone or calcareous as in the Langhe.
It's totally different from Langhe. It's just the opposite, because in the Langhe we have chalk, which means pH 7.5. We have the opposite. We have very high acidity in our soil. They are pH of 4, which is super acid. Why this? Because it's volcanic stones, which degraded in 300 million years to gravel and sand on surface. But if you dig a little bit, you have rocks underneath, and it's only volcanic rock. It's from the hotspot of the volcano. That's the material which is there. It's named in Italy porphyric. It's reddish, a little bit like granite, but in red. And that makes this combination with a lot of minerals in our soil, full of manganese, full of iron, full of other things, together with this acid soil means, and that's only chemistry, in acid surrounding with water, the minerals are much more free to go to the plant and give very mineral wines. In chalk, you have a different situation, that minerals don't get so luckily to the wines, but you get more body mostly in chalk. You get these more powerful wines maybe. And that's maybe also the difference between us and Barolo. Barolo are a bit more tannic, powerful. Our wines are always very elegant and very fine, and very mineral, means this salty taste which lingers on your tongue very long time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If I were to describe their wines, that sort of salty mineral sensation, fresher style. Yeah, I love it. That's great. So Nebbiolo, right? Just I think there's the same grape variety. However, in Alto Piemonte, there's usually that practice of blending it with other grapes, right?
Yeah. Like
Vespolina and Croatina. Yeah. What's the main reason for that?
Yeah, you have to know, and we forget this a little bit in the last 50 years, because the whole northern Piedmont collapsed to nothing, because the big industry, the factories of textile and of tap industry, which were the biggest in the world, they wanted a lot of workers, and they told these farmers, come to us, it's better money, and it's easier to do. So everybody in the northern Piedmont left, but not to forget, it was the biggest wine region in Italy, if not in Europe. It was the size maybe of Burgundy or even Bordeaux, maybe not, but it was huge. With 15,000 hectares, it was a huge region and a very old region, because we have testimonials from Pliny the Elder, who wrote 20 after Christ that in the north, when you look to the Alps from Novara, the whole hillside of the Alps is covered with vineyards. So that was the situation. And it's always like this. If you have such an old story, you have a lot of rich things developing. And that's why we have not only Nebbiolo, because it's very important in a wine region that you have different possibilities to make wine which you drink after a year, wines which you can age, wine varietal which are maybe less affected by rain or by dry weather. And so what they did, they put a lot of different varietals which came well in this region. And after they blended or not blended, they did a lot of things with these different varietals. So we have this very rich history, which gave a rich possibility of making wine here. So Nebbiolo, of course, it's the most important grape in our region, but not underestimate Vespolina, for example, because Vespolina is related to Nebbiolo. It's the same family. Maybe it's even older than Nebbiolo. And it's a perfect match together. It really combines with Nebbiolo at the best. Meaning it gives spiciness, white pepper to the blend. Nebbiolo gives structure and length, and Vespolina a little bit of charm and little charming things like spices and so on. And then we have a lot of other grape varietals which I learned in these 20 years what they are, because we made a lot of experiments in the cellar to make single varietal wines only for us to understand the things. That's not a tradition in the region, so it's only for experimental purpose. But the wines which are on the market, our wines are very historically in the end. But to understand more what is Slarina, what is Curatina, what is Erbaluce, what is Durasa, even Nebbiolo, even Uvarara, Vespolina, we had to do all these things. And it's a very interesting field of a lot of different things which can combine well.
And Christoph, specifically about Nebbiolo, are there any... Do you treat that differently, let's say, in the Lange, in terms of in the vineyard or even at the winery? Or
no, not really. Of course, we had this Majorina system, but this is another story which we come after to that. That's the historical Bocca. We did the new vineyards. We planted, as yet at least, all in the new modern system, like they do in the Lange region, of course. So it means simple, the Guyot sample, the Guyot, it's one can, and then in rows, of course. And it's the same system, and in the end, it was very important for us. Of course, we learned a lot here in Bocca, but there was a lot of lost know-how, because 50 years of not producing wine, means that we have no people who knew how to do them and the vineyards how to work them. So for us it was very important to go to our colleagues in Barolo and learn how they do it, because in the end it's the same, and it was the same. So we took also the first vineyards we planted, to be sure, with clones from the Lange region, and then from Valtellina, and then from Val d'Aosta. And only since 10 years, we dedicate a lot of work to our vineyards, and we take some clones and we make Sélection Massal of our old vineyards, which is a huge work. But I think Nebbiolo, we have a lot of very good things in Piemonte, because in Barolo they did a lot of research and they did a lot of good things, which in Bocca they should have done, but because of the situation they were not done. 100 years ago, the whole know-how of Nebbiolo was done in the northern Piedmont, of course. It was Lissona, it was Gattinara, which were the most famous wines in Italy. So, and there a lot of new things came out. And then Barolo came up, and then they took the position of the leadership in a way for Nebbiolo. But maybe in future we will see how it will be in the future. So,
and specifically on the winery, like say in terms of maceration times or even aging vessels, do you know? Is that a style of Alto Piemonte, or is that more house style?
I would say also there it's very difficult to define styles, and I think there are different styles also. I use the really old style, means the how they made the wine in northern Piedmont. Antonio Cerri made it like this, and how also the old guys also the young guys now in Langhe and Barbaresco and Barolo and in Valtellina. I do long maceration, which not everybody does. Even in Barolo, you have a lot. They do very short maceration, and then they do in barrique. But that's a bit a new thing. I go the way like Ciaccosa did, like Conterno, like Mascarello, all these great guys like Antonio Cerri, and I do this very long maceration, which means 40-50 days on the skins, only in open top barrels, which I put down the grapes by hand. It's very, very simple. And then after 50 days, I press with a basket press, and the wine goes directly, together with the press wine, to big barrels of Slavonian oak. And there the wine stays for 4 years, in our case for the Bocca. And that's a bit the technique which you find in all Nebbiolo regions. And in my view, it's a very good technique to make long-lasting, fine, good wines, without any wood taste, which we don't need in Nebbiolo, because Nebbiolo has enough taste alone, doesn't need anything more.
No, that's great. Really traditional way of winemaking.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Maggiorina, right? Yeah. This is a really ancient draining system. I think it goes back all the way to Roman times, right? Yeah. Could you explain it, like what it is and why it's used in the area?
Yeah, now I should show you a photo, because it's a bit difficult to explain. But in a way, it's a very old system which comes probably even pre-Roman time. In the Gallic time, they had this system. But the Romans, they were always very sensitive not to destroy what they found when they came, but they always adapted the things which they found. And sometimes they did it even better after. So these systems, you have this type of system in a lot of parts in Italy and in France. You find them. Not anymore, because mostly they were uprooted now and they made new vineyards. But in the old times, it was normal to have like trees. It's not like rows. The vines are trellised like trees. It means that they are put in the middle, 3 vines, for example, in Bocca, and then trellised in 4 directions upwards to 2 meters or 180 height, so like we are men's are, and then it's like a square which forms on top, and around the square are the grapes, and then the leaves up. And why this? And then the poles which sustain this system, not where the vines are in the middle, but on the outside, 2 meters outside, to form this square. These poles were in Roman times real trees, and that's why they never could plant the trees to bind the vine on the same place where the vine is, because that would be the roots. And it sounds strange, but it's true. They could afford to kill the trees and make poles from it. And when I heard in Bocca old people telling me that they don't tell it's poles, but they tell there are dead trees to this support. When I heard this, I thought it's amazing how the language is 2,000 years. It stays even there are now poles, not trees anymore. But in the remember of the people, there are still dead trees. So, and this Majorina system is amazing because it gives us the tradition of 100-years-old vineyards. We have learned a lot of what was Bocca before, because we lost everything. But having these 100-years-old vineyards, we understand a lot of things, varietals which were not known, the way to trellis the wines up, which is it's a very good system because it works perfectly by hand, only by hand. And that's a bit a limit now of this system, but we don't see this limit because we do anyway a lot of handwork in our vineyards, also in the new ones. So now we are really rethinking the things, and we say maybe we can put even new Majorinas because the work is the same or even a bit less, because they are perfectly done to work by hand. Of course, in the 50s, when the industry get this nice offer to the workers, young people, they saw the tractors arriving, the new machinery arriving, and they told the fathers, now I go really, because now we would have help in the vineyard with this tractor, and we can't use them in this Majorina system. So what the hell, what we do here? And they left. So everything is a bit connected. Now I always tell the people who come here, we can afford again to work by hand. And this is maybe the biggest achievement which we did in the last year, in the last 10 years or 20 years. We can afford it to do it. And it sounds strange because who does nowadays handwork? We have all the machinery and the robots and everything. And we tell that our achievement is to work by hand. And this is a nice thing somehow.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, being able to sort of earn the right and to be able to go back and work by hand. Yeah. And it seems like it's a lot of work, but I'm surprised I'm looking at pictures, it seems like a lot more work than the traditional training, but yeah, it's good to know that it's about the same, right? It's not a whole.
Yeah, it's different. In winter, it's much more difficult. The pruning is more difficult because it's not so logical like the new systems. But in summer, they are in so good harmony that you have to pass much less through the vineyards to put the leaves away or to cut on top or so. So it's much less work in summer, more in winter, and vice versa. And so in a way, it combines well the two systems, the new and the old.
Great. So I think that we'd like to transition off and just if you could briefly tell us about your wines. And you make both reds and whites. Yeah, so maybe we start with your flagship, Bocca DOC, and then just a brief description about kind of the blend, the grapes, any vinification techniques that you use.
Okay. Yeah, of course, I came to Bocca to make the Bocca DOC. That was the wine I knew from this Antonio Cherry. And it's a blend of Nebbiolo and Vespolina. It has to be a blend. It can't be 100% Nebbiolo. In our case, it's 85% Nebbiolo, so mostly, of course, is Nebbiolo, and the rest is Vespolina. To combine well these two grapes, which I told why, and it's a perfect match. So I came here to do that, and I had this vineyard of this old Antonio Cherry, and it was made like this, and then we made new vineyards like this, and I did wine from that. But in the first year, when I was here, I saw these strange old vineyards around, and I didn't understand what grapes are there. I didn't recognize them. And then old people told me, this is Croatina, and this is Erbaluce. There's a white one, Erbaluce, and there is also the Slarina, and this is that, and this is that. And a big mess in the end. I thought, here, you can't get around with all these things. So what I did is what is a bit the easiest thing. I went in these old vineyards and I make harvest of everything together, just a field blend, without looking what I put in, because it was really difficult to tell. It was one plant of Erbaluce and 10 of Nebbiolo and 5 of Croatina, and what the hell comes out. I made the wine, and this wine, and that's in a way the second wine we produced. It's the Majorina wine, comes from these old Majorina vineyards, and it's a field blend. And it makes great sense. The first wine, when I made it, it was after 1 month, it was very nice, drinkable, simple, nice wine to drink immediately. And I thought, this is really amazing. That's really a great wine. And I showed it also to the old people in Boca, and they told, oh, this is the wine we always did. That's how our wine is. And so, in a way, for me, Boca is, of course, the top wine and the flagship wine, aged wine, 4 years in the barrel. It's a great expression of Nebbiolo. And it was the case, some producers did it, but only the good producers, because it was very difficult to make this, because you need barrels, you need time, you need money, you have to be good in the vineyard to best grapes. That other people, they did just wines for the daily business, and that was okay too. And this is the Maggiorina. And so in a way, Maggiorina is for me even the most typical characteristic wine of Boca somehow. Strange enough to tell. Historically, of course, it's the most normal wine here. And then after some years, I developed the third wine, which is now an important wine between, in a way. And it's a bit the bridge from the Maggiorina to the Boca. It's the wine which is more Nebbiolo. It's Nebbiolo-based wine. It has the face of an aged Nebbiolo because it makes 2 years in barrels, so shorter than Boca, but it has the same view in a way. But what is different, there is Vespolina also, so all the same, but then there is Croatina in. And Croatina is a grape variety which is not in Boca. It can't be in Boca. It's forbidden to put in the Boca, but it's very traditional in the all northern Piedmont. These blends were very normal, and this is what I made. This Mimo is the very normal blend, which was used everywhere, also in Gattinara, also in Gemme, in Sizzano, in Bramaterra. The only region which kept this DOC is Bramaterra. There, Croatina is still in the blend, but it's the only region. And for me, to make more not easy drinking, more approachable wines, it's the best system, because Croatina gives a little bit of fresh fruit of darker blueberries and cherries. It's a bit softer, less acidity, and so you can drink the Nebbiolo after 5 years easily, and it's a great wine then. You don't have to put it 10 years in the cellar like the Boca, but it's a very nice wine. We always define it, it's the wine of the good restaurants. You go to the restaurant and you eat well and you drink this Mimo in a way. And then the Boca is for the great moments, Christmas, wedding, or all this.
Christoph,
yeah.
we lost you for 30 seconds. Can you just repeat the last
about the Bianco?
Thanks.
About Bianco is okay?
Yeah. I think we're lost there.
Yeah, I repeat about the Bianco. It's Erbaluce. It's the only white varietal which we have in our region, in the whole northern Piedmont. It's a DOCG in Caluso, but we have the same grape in our fields also. And I always thought that this Erbaluce is not so important. Maybe it's not so good, and I don't know. And it took a long time that I dared to make this Bianco. Now, since 4 years, I do it, and I can tell you that I do it in a very different way than everybody does here. That I have to tell, because I thought a long time how I would like to make Erbaluce, and now the result is amazing. It's better and better every year. With my experience, it's getting better and better, and I'm totally amazed what wine comes out, because I was always thinking it comes a good white wine of drinking easily and for an aperitif, but now I see that it's a very structured and very full-bodied wine with big lengths, with a nice acidity, with a very complex aromatic. So I'm very amazed about this. Then I remember always old people here in Boca, they told always that Erbaluce is the white Nebbiolo. So when I heard this, it makes sense. It's really true. It's a very structured wine like Nebbiolo. From Erbaluce you can make a bit the same style, but you have to do it in this style. And what is the key point for me? Right grapes, A lot of people now, producers, are afraid of the climate warming and of too much alcohol and of no acidity. But Erba Luce has no problem about, yes, the alcohol can be 14 alcohol, but you don't feel it because the acidity is very high. And I do even malolactic fermentation with this wine, and I do wood, big barrels to put it in 1 year on the lees. So it's all the technology to give body and to give structure and to give importance to this wine, and it works perfectly. So I'm really amazed about this Bianco.
So I think that I've had a chance to try most of your reds. I'm not sure the Bianco, is that exported or is it mostly?
Yeah, that's why it's a bit. The problem is that we sell it so well in Italy that we couldn't export it yet. But now it will change. Now with 2020, we have a little bit more of quantity, and it will be in Seattle and in California. It's by the way, it's shipped there, so it should arrive in 1 or 2 months in California and in Seattle and in Boston, and it will be not big amounts, but now we start. Yeah,
great. We'll have to look for it for sure. And just a side story. You were talking about Mimmo, your Nebbiolo Croatina Vespolina blend. So about a couple of years ago, my niece Sofia had her first communion, and actually this is the one that was sort of the star of the lunch. Super friendly, and it was a crowd pleaser. So every table had a Mimmo bottle in it. So it was memorable, quite good. So I'm moving on a little bit on the wine's super high quality. You started to sort of plant your own vineyards. You grew the area. And start at the point where you saw it. How was that experience in terms of you make great wine from an area that few people knew about it? How were the first years like?
Yeah, it was very hard. But the first 5 years, I didn't realize that it was hard because I had no wine. So it was easy because you don't have to sell. So that's the biggest part, or it's the sales is the most difficult. And so I didn't really. I made new vineyards and I start to produce wine, and I was not afraid. But then in 2005, I realized that I had a big vintage of 2004 in my cellar, a potential of 10,000 bottles of Bocca, and I get in big troubles, in big crises, because I thought, 5 years I'm here, there was nobody from nowhere came to look at this wine region because nobody knew, and there's no wine, so why they should come, So I told myself, but what you did, maybe you did a total crazy thing, a wine which nobody interests in the world, and maybe we can close in 1 year. And of course it was not like this, because the first importer was from Boston, I can tell you, and she changed my mind because I get there is somebody from Boston who is interested in this wine, so maybe it works. And so it started to work, but still it was big work and it's still big work to communicate Bocca as a high Nebbiolo producing area in the world, because people don't know. Maybe now the professional people, they know mostly now, I would say. In US, where we are very well in the market, in Europe, also in Japan, there the sommeliers, they know. And they make a big work in the restaurants to promote it, to give it to the people. But I can tell you, and also in Italy the same, but if we are in a wine list, in a wine list like you have a big book, and then you have Barolo, Barbaresco, and then is one Bocca, our Bocca. Who cares about this? Nobody. Nobody will take it from a wine list. It has Bocca, never heard. Maybe it's Bocca Raten or something else, but never heard. So what the hell? I don't take it. So we needed in the first year very much this passionate people around the world who promote our wines. And you, like you do now in this club, that's the most important in the first years. Then we had, of course, the wine guides and the journalists who wrote, and everything helped to get this idea that Bocca is a wine region and not something else. So But it was a hard work, and it's a still demanding work. But now I see some fruits of what I did. That's for sure.
Oh, that's great. That's great to know. And definitely, yeah, that's one of the main goals of the club is to promote all Italian wine, both from areas that are well known as well as sort of up and coming, or in areas that need a little more of a push to highlight them and get them known in the market. So great to hear that. So in terms of the DOC Boca, I understand that before there were just very few producers. Now there's still a handful, right? A little over 10.
Yeah, it's a very nice evolution. I always thought in the beginning I was the only one, and the monopolistic situation, which sounds good, but it's not really good, I can tell you. To be alone in a wine region, it's never a good thing. To be the leader is good, and we always look to be the leader in the region, but not to be alone. That's very important. So when I started, I can tell you there was no serious wine producing anymore. There were 2 wineries which were in very bad shape because of the age of the people. They were old people. One had Alzheimer, and the daughters didn't want to enter, and it was a nightmare, really. But then I started, and then I activated a lot of young people in Boca, and they did other vineyards, like I did. 1, 2 hectares, 3 hectares, 1 even 7 hectares. And for example, this winery which I told before with the man with Alzheimer, it's Conti. Elena Conti then in 2001. She got back and took over this winery from the father. And she always told me, I would never have done it if you were not here, because I would never have seen future in Boca. So that was happened, and it was very good. So now you have a handful of Boca in the market. Even also in the US, I would say there are 5 labels in the market. And there are 12 producers, actually, mostly very small. And we are far the biggest, and that's why maybe you see our wines a bit more. But still, we are a good group which moving this Boca ahead together.
Good, great. So, and quick check on time. I know that we want to open it up to the floor for any questions from the audience. Last question that I had is in terms of Le Piani. What's next in the next few years? What are you guys' major plans that you can share?
Yeah, this is I did the major plans I did in the last year, in the COVID year. It sounds strange, but we did amazing new things to finalize our winery, because we always used the old cellar of Antonio Cerri, and it was, since at least 5 years, it was far too small. And we had to start to vinify outside, not even under a roof, and to have the wines outside. And it was a real nightmare. And last year, finally, we get the permission and everything to put the new underground cellar. And that will be finished in 2 months, or even in 1 month. We just vinify this year but it's not everything is finished. But it's a new underground cellar, which is just nearby the old, very nice cellar of Cerri. And there we have a potential to double the wood barrels there. And that will be done in the next years, because I need much more wood barrels in the future, because Mimo is in wood barrels, and even Majorine I would like to put in the wood barrels. So this is a bit the future to go even deeper in these things. Then the most important is the vineyards get older, and that's the nicest thing I can tell you, because I always remember some French producer who told, after 30 years you can think to make good wines. And now we have 23 years. So at least 7 years to reach this. But we are much nearer to this goal than it was 20 years ago. And I can tell you, I feel it a lot in our wines. Our wines are much more in harmony, also when they are young. And I think it's not my cellar making, which I don't do anything in the cellar. It's really the vineyards which are much more in harmony, and they give great grapes and great wine, bigger and better and better wines. So in a way, this is the main thing. In the future, maybe there is some new wine. I don't know yet, but maybe it's not.
Fantastic. I think we're all looking forward to it. Yeah, the future looks definitely bright. Fantastic. Yeah. So Great. So I think I'd like to just thank you again for the time. It's been a pleasure chatting with
you. Alberto.
And really look forward to meeting in person again, whether here in the West Coast or maybe in Boston.
When I can come, the first trip will be to Seattle, I'm sure.
Fantastic. Look forward.
Yeah.
Great. So now I think I'll hand it back to Stevie for any sort of follow-up questions.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. I mean, I have to confess, mea culpa, I have not heard of Boca very much. And it was such a fascinating talk. I had Leica writing to me, chatting me up during your talk and saying, you sound like such a great science professor. And Christoph, but I think you have a natural knack for also storytelling, and we are ready to come. All of us come and see you very soon. So I will open up to. We don't have very much time, but if there's somebody from the audience who would like to ask a question, please raise your hand now, and I will bring you up onto the stage. Christoph, listen, I do have a question for you. I know you're making four labels now. What is kind of the production volume?
Yeah, we make maybe we reach now with 220 first time 80,000 bottles, and that's a bit the goal. I think never more than 100,000 it will be also in future. So 80,000 bottles, and the Boca is 15,000 bottles of our top wine, maybe 30,000 of Majorina, and then Mimmo, other 20,000. And then I forgot to tell, there is another wine which we didn't spoke. It's Chianti, which is a single old vineyards of Majorina Croatina selection. This is a very interesting wine, but the rarest wine. We make only 6,000 bottles. But this is a real challenge. It was a real challenge to do it, but it's a very interesting wine, and it's dedicated to a Croatina, which is a very, very a lot planted in Boca on the old fields of the Majorina. So,
oh my goodness, my mouth is watering as you are speaking. So we have Patty Robinson. Ciao, Patty.
Ciao. How are you?
Okay, how are you?
I'm good. So, Christoph, I visited you 5 years ago with Vinity.
Okay, yeah.
So I may be responsible for you being in Chicago. Not really for sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I love your wine.
Love it.
Yeah.
We're spreading the gospel.
That's right. Yeah. I remember you very well.
Yes, because we went to Ristorante Pinocchio.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely amazing. But
yeah.
I want to know what your opinion is on Herbaluce and like what the future of Herbaluce is. Because the last time I checked, you may have Pasito at Herbaluce somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. I have to confess, the Pasito I did from the first years on, because Pasito was always what everybody told, that's what you have to do from Herbaluce. And somehow it's true. You can do really great Pasito wines. And I did it. But I did it, I can tell you, 40 liters, 50 liters, nothing. But just I did it to look. And when I remember in 2008, I had the 10 years anniversary of Alepiane, and I made a big reception in the cellar. And there I showed also this Pasito. And there an Italian came to me and told me, "Oh, Christoph, this is the best wine you do in your cellar. Why you produce red wines?" So that's why I never spoke again about this Pasito, because I make red wines and not Pasito. And that would be the end of Lepiane if you force me to do only Pasito, because the red wines are not good. So that was very funny. Anyway, we always do a little bit of Pasito, and sometimes I do it when I like to do it. But it's really nothing. It's 100 little bottles or 200 bottles. And that's it.
I was lucky enough to get a couple of those bottles at A16, so it's very beautiful. But Herbaluce is a very, I feel like it's not as recognized as it should be, and I think
that's true.
You've done an excellent job. I just wanted to thank you.
Yeah, it's a bit, we have a strange problem with Herbaluce in Italy. The bureaucracy and the laws are very strange sometimes. So we have a very absurd situation that we can't write on our bottles Erba Luce, and not even in the net. And maybe I could not even tell you. If a control comes, they will fine me for that. Because Caluso, DOCG, they told Erba Luce is ours. Nobody else can nominate this grape varietal, which, by the way, in European community, in the law, it's not possible. But they were just a bit before, and Italy told it's okay. And now it's like this, and we can't change it. If we process, if we make we make a process about them, a law in the court, we would win. But to win in a court in Italy, that's a very, very long affair. So we have this strange situation that Caluso, Erba Luce, and they're not a lot of bottles. They are not spread in the world. They are not known. And we make, some producers in Northern Piedmont, they make Erba Luce, but we don't nominate it like Erba Luce, so we can't do anything for this grape to make it more known, because nobody knows it. I always have to tell, this is Erba Luce. Erba Luce, never heard, that's the reaction in the whole world. And these people in Caluso, they are like in middle age, they think really that it's better to have this name for them. And they would win to having other people who would work the same grape, of course, and nominate it. But that's Italy, and that's like that it is. So what can we do?
So, Christoph, we don't want to let you go, but we're going to close up the room. But one quick last question, if you allow us. What is the harvest looking like this year in Alto Piemonte?
We are very lucky, and I can't dare to tell it, because you must know that in Europe it's a total disaster this year. I was in France, I was in Germany in summer. It's absolutely terrible. A lot of illness they had hailstorms, they had water, it's really terrible. And in the south, there was absolutely no rain from Marche to Tuscany south. Terrible stressed vineyards. And in the northern part, especially in the Alps, we had an incredibly nice year, a nice spring, a cooler July with some rain, which was very good, and a marvelous August and now September. So we are looking forward as now a great vintage like last year. So it's really promising, the things.
That's great news.
Hopefully it will be like this, because you never know, because the weather is tricky now. But we were really safe this year about everything. So.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much. And I'm going to close up the room. Do one thing here. That's my little trick I do.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Bye to everybody.
It was fascinating. Alberto, what a great choice. And it was so lovely to meet you like this, and hopefully we can meet you in person very, very soon. Thanks, Pate, for coming.
Thank you.
A shout out to Laika, our clubhouse manager, Jacopo, of course, Paul, Melissa. I see also Kevin, Sue Tolson, and Dre. Thank you all for joining us, and we're looking forward to putting this out as soon as possible. Alberto, great choice. Thank you so much for organizing this, and see you next week. I believe next week we're up with Susanna Gull, but that will be, I believe, on Friday. Just a little change of schedule. And then the week after that, we're back with your buddy, Tanya, who will be interviewing Cinelli Colombini Donatella. So see you next time. Ciao, ragazzi.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin. guys, I'm Joy Livingston, and I am the producer of the Italian Wine Podcast. Thank you for listening. We are the only wine podcast that has been doing a daily show since the pandemic began. This is a labor of love, and we are committed to bringing you free content every day. Of course, this takes time and effort, not to mention the cost of equipment, production, and editing. We would be grateful for your donations, suggestions, requests, and ideas. For more information on how to get in touch, go to ItalianWinePodcast.com.